The book of Proverbs, verse 23. Buy the truth and do not sell it. Wisdom, instruction, and insight as well. Okay, so, hi everybody, this is Christian RPG Gamers. So, for today's video, I guess the background footage, I was playing some Slay the Spire. It's like sometimes I gotta scratch that itch, right? I think I'm gonna try it on the 30% volume for the background, so like I can never really get it right. Well, it's gonna be maybe a little bit quieter. I mean, I don't want the music super loud, but I don't want it to be too quiet either, right? I mean, you gotta enjoy yourself, but we'll give it a shake or bake. A shake and bake here. So, I guess one of my viewers, what's his name? I'm not sure if this is a he or she. I think this is he. It's like these days you can never really, you're always gonna offend people no matter what you say. But I think his name is called Dwayne Asher. I think he wanted me to maybe make a video about the quote unquote gods. I made one on sorcery. I might have to go out and do that, but I'm gonna have to think about it a little bit too. Okay, so I think for today's video, honestly, I was kind of thinking, I want to talk a little bit about anime. So, or I guess you could say like some manga books and then also some anime. So, so I guess I'll just give myself. I haven't really made too many videos about anime on this channel. I probably made like 4 or 5 videos. I think I talked a little bit about One Piece, and then again, some of these are just a little bit sketchy of exactly just how much of an anime it is. Like Pokemon is kind of an anime, but. And like maybe I've talked a little bit about a couple other ones. I think I made a video about like that like the Black Ghoul or something, or Tokyo Ghoul. I'm sure I've mentioned Naruto a couple times. I've talked a little bit about it. But okay. Okay. Oh yeah. Also, again, and I try not to talk about my real life too much. Like a massive motorcycle. So I just got done going to one of these little gaming conventions in the United States. I had a pretty good time, so I'll talk about this for a minute, then I'll get into the video. Right? I'm nothing. I'm not like the comprehensive guide on like all this stuff. I'm just some guy, right? But I went to this convention, and I spent a lot of money, probably more than I should have, on buying some some fun stuff and some gifts. I played some Magic the Gathering. I walked around a bit. I might get around to doing some like Dungeons and Dragons. I talked to a bunch of people. I had a good time. I ate some good food. We had a little bit of fun. I even flirted with a couple cute girls. I talked to some friends I've met. I had a good time. So it was a good experience. So I definitely recommend, if you haven't been to a convention, you should go, find some nerdy convention, something you're interested in, presuming it's not too far away from like your home, right? Just consider save some money up and just consider going out to one, right? Because right now I'm just kind of sitting out here. I just got done with for today. So okay, that's enough of a warm up here. Okay, so for anime, so I guess I'll just kind of go over some different stuff. Probably more what anime I like. So one of the first animes that I've really enjoyed and watched in the past was, honestly, it was probably Naruto. Now, I'm not saying it's the first anime I've ever watched, but it was definitely one of the first ones that I can remember. I really like Naruto. Okay, again, it might not have been my first one, but it was like my first mainstreamed one. So I've watched in the past. Before that, I've seen a couple episodes, I think, of Dragon Ball Z. Then when I was younger, I was like a little child almost at this point. I don't even remember what year it came out. I was pretty young. I think there was Pokemon. Pokemon came out. Then I watched like some Yu-Gi-Oh! I wouldn't really know if I considered those. And there's like a Digimon. I don't know if I really consider those to be anime. They're kind of anime, but they have like a card game and like a video games. They have a whole bunch of stuff really that's more surrounded by it. But I enjoyed those quite a bit. And then then there's like Bleach, and there was like, and I watched an anime called Death Note. And then again like one of these, I watched an anime, it was called like Full Metal Alchemist. To be honest, that series is really, really dark. And there's some really dark anime out there. I'm not saying I hate anime, but there are a few out there. There's an anime called like Blood or something. That show was super, super dark. I mean, I don't know what compelled me to watch a handful of these. I mean, yeah, I was younger, right? I was just pretty stupid. Young people just tend to be stupid. It's just the truth. I mean, yeah, I mean, a lot of adults also tend to be stupid, but you don't have the ability to really understand. I mean, there is a reason they have like a TV, like mature rating and stuff, because like some of the stuff is dark. But I didn't really know any better. I kind of watched. I think I was like 14, 15 or something. I watched a handful of these episodes. Some of this, I mean, I had to turn it off at one point. I mean, it was just so dark. There are some bad stuff out there, but the vast majority of anime is pretty more on like probably like the teenage years. And then there's I started watching a little bit of some Dragon Ball Z. That kind of became very popular. I think it was out a few years before I ended up watching some of the episodes. Yeah, and also I started reading some anime books. I also found a handful of some anime books at the library. I mean, I haven't really been to the library in like, it feels like forever, but I mean, the library used to be very relevant. So I picked up some books. I think one of the first books I read was like I think it was a series called like Fruit Basket or something. I think it actually might have been fairly popular now that I look back, but I don't know. And then I read a bunch of like these manga books from Naruto, and that show started kind of coming out. It started becoming very popular also. I mean, Naruto is I'd say probably my favorite anime. It's it's a little bit sketchy, but I wish my favorite one is, but it's definitely up there for me. I watched some. I think I watched or I read some on like One Piece at one point. I think initially I mean it was an interesting series, but I just never really got too into One Piece, but I did enjoy it. I think it's just, and looking back, it's like there's like 1,100 episodes of it. I mean, I don't even know actually what number they're on, because there's the manga and there's also the anime itself. So there's just it's like a month's worth of episodes to watch. And I'm trying to think. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other ones out there. So yeah, I watched one on I think it's called like BattleTech, and there's also there's like a Robotech, BattleTech. There's also like a Gundam series. So like I think I watched one of those. I bought some out of like some of the discs ones initially, back when like the internet wasn't really at its prime as it is right now. So I watched some of those. And I think I watched a couple episodes here and there on some of this other stuff. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them out there, but I've enjoyed quite a few pieces of like anime over the years. Yeah, I watched I'm currently kind of watching it right now. I think I'm probably getting to the end of season 4 of My Hero Academia. I think I watched the first 3 seasons. It's kind of like a story arc end. And they have like another kind of like a mid-series end, which I'm watching now. Apparently they came out with season 7, I think. So I'm gonna be watching more of that. Yeah. Again, I mean, I've seen quite a few anime now. I just gotta keep thinking. But yeah, I watched Sword Art Online. I mean, I really like Sword Art Online. So I watched a bunch of stuff on Funimation. I guess Funimation, I think at one point it basically died and it merged with Crunchyroll. But yeah, like there's a lot of anime out there. I'm sure there's like 10 other ones I've seen. I just can't think of them all off the top of my head. And then a bunch of these animes, they have movies, spin-off series. There's so much stuff out there. It's hard to keep track of what it all is, or what it all is and what it all isn't. But yeah, these are just at least some of my experience with it. I'm sure I'll think of 5 other ones. I just can't remember what they all are. So I guess some of the definition of what an anime even tech. Also, I guess the question is, what is an anime, and what's the purpose of it? Oh yeah, I'm thinking more off the top of my head. I'll say it a little bit. So like basically, anime is, it's really just a form of storytelling. It's like there's just a story with cool ideas, and to be honest with you, there really just isn't necessarily like a major point behind why anime exists. It's just like an author wanted to build a cool world, a cool IP, a cool genre, and there's usually like one specific main protagonist surrounded by a pool of like friends, and they usually go on some kind of an adventure. Usually the main character has to learn some kind of a personal life story lesson. And this video is not going to be very long. I have more video backgrounds. And usually there is a main plot and a main story. Usually in anime there's like one really big bad villain. And usually there's the good guys versus the bad guys. The main protagonist usually has a team of some kind of mentors or senseis or people who support him. I mean, not that all anime have a male protagonist, but to be real with somebody, it's very unlikely that there's going to be a female protagonist, especially if like a quote-unquote like a good series, right? I know that's kind of offensive to say there's like better and worse series, but the truth is there are mainline series, and there's just a bunch. There's 20,000 of jank, I don't know, animes out there people probably have never heard of. And there are better, well-written, more popular series, and there's just some that just aren't. That's just the truth. So usually there is a male protagonist, but usually just to be real with somebody, right? There's usually a ton of female characters and stories too. It's no big secret. But yeah, usually there's a team of heroes and a team of villains. There's some kind of a story plot. It's usually like off the freaking rails. It like it can go crazy. And on animes, it's like it's hard to even contain it. Like usually there is some kind of a story plot. You might not even know what that plot is, and it's hard to keep track half the time. Usually it's just a group of friends just go on a wild adventure, and they're usually trying to either train themselves up. They have some like Naruto wants to become like the Hokage. Like what is it? Goku's trying to become like some big Super Saiyan hero. Like Ichigo from Bleach is trying to, I don't know, be like the strongest Soul Reaper or something. And again, it's just very cool, but it can be off the rails. So again, and I know that my channel is supposed to be like a Christian channel at the end of the day too. So I'll try to put some kind of Christian perspectives on it. Another series that I remember I was watching, I don't want to interrupt my thought too much. I watched a series called Fairy. I think it's called Fairy Tail. Pretty sure, yeah, Fairy Tail. It's a very interesting name. I watched that series, I think on Funimation way back. So that was a series. To be real with somebody, I would even honestly include the vast majority of JRPG games, like video games, probably are considered to be an anime. It's a little bit morally gray to say exactly that they are an anime, but they basically are. Like you got like Xenoblade Chronicles. That's basically like an anime. Yeah, it's a video game. If you watch the game movie online, it's effectively an anime. Oh, there's Tales of, there's like a Berserk. I can't even pronounce his name. Zestria, I think it's called. Tales of Arise. There's like, I don't know. I actually don't even know how many there are. There's like probably 15 of them. So there's also, and like there's also again there's just so many of these. It's hard to even keep track of them all. I think there's like, yeah, there's a lot of video game versions out there. I think they have like the YS Chronicle, like the YS. They're probably considered to be more or less an anime. There's tons of them out there. So, and they are all kind of the same thing at the end of the day. Here, let me go find another one here. What other background do I have? I get all these weird like what is it gonna recommend me, right? It's like it recommends me some crazy stuff on the a lot of like, you know, like some like, you know, just like I owned an atheist in like some argument. I get the weirdest recommendations sometimes. Okay. Okay, this one's a little bit longer. I don't know if I'm gonna make it this long, but okay, so from okay, so those are just some of the general. I'm just giving some very general, specific ideas of what anime even is, or what it isn't. At least you have some kind of an idea now, right? A very basic, bare bones idea. So if I try to put a Christian perspective on it, for example, to tell you the truth, I really don't even. Again, most anime, it's really just a different variation of storytelling. Like, I've heard a lot of people say that. It's just the truth. And the vast majority of anime is, I'm gonna say it's not always fantasy necessarily. Although a lot of anime has lots of what's the word, quote unquote, it's called fantastical. Honestly, the vast majority of anime is pretty much all fiction. You might find a more historical, you know, like realistic world that was set like, you know, in the actual time frame. I think it's called biographical or bio. It's bio something, I think, but most of them are fiction. Honestly, also most of them happen to have at least some major fantasy aspects to them. It's like, you know, Naruto takes place kind of in like its own variation of Japan. They have their like, you know, like little like ninja hand signs, and they do little jutsus and stuff. They're like, you know, kids playing ninja, eventually kind of grow up to teenagers to become adults. And also a ton of anime does take place. The huge majority of anime is like, it's around teenagers, to be honest. I feel like it's really meant for teens. But sometimes it can be like in the people in their 20s also. So yeah, I mean, there's that. Also, again, like examples would be like Persona. Persona is probably like an anime. Yeah, like it's like a fantastical world. Usually it's set within some form of reality, and it has these massive twists to their reality. It's like, you know, like Dragon Ball Z takes place on Earth, but they have like, you know, these like alien creatures and beings who come in and they have like Super Saiyan powers and stuff. And it can go completely crazy. Like their hair starts, like get the craziest hairstyles. Their hairs usually change different colors. It's like, you know, whoever has like the biggest hairstyle will do. It's probably like the most powerful character or something. And like they have like, you know, there's lots of supernatural events that happen around them. Like they use superpowers. Sometimes honestly, it's not that many animes really have that much magic in them. The main protagonists usually don't use sorcery. They usually are just extremely powerful. They have some kind of like, they have powers that you couldn't comprehend. They themselves can't comprehend. It's kind of like, you know, like believe in yourself, like it's like you can just kind of will your own power to make you strong and to fight adversaries. Like main protagonists are just completely cracked. They're so powerful. Literally the authors, it seems like they just make it up when they're writing. Like they're really powerful. But yeah, like I wouldn't say that most animes don't have like Christianity directly in them, but most anime is also not anti-Christianity at the same time. It's like occasionally, like, you know, in Holiness, God is mentioned occasionally in anime, But it usually, most animes don't really have religion in them. They also don't really have like politics in them. Occasionally they have their own world. They kind of make up their own reasons for why their world exists. Usually it's just kind of a bunch of crap, if I'm being real. And like they usually, I think most anime tries to stay away from the idea of how their world was created, because it's just a bunch of horse crap at the end of the day, and they know it and the audience knows it. So usually they try not to talk about it too much. Yeah, I mean, again, like there are Pacific anime out there that I feel like you do got to be careful of. Like, I mean, like there are some, they do put some demons in them. There can be some very sketchy, shady stuff. And they have some pagan themes in them every once in a while. Like, you just got to be careful. But if I'm being real with you, the same is true with like literally anything you would watch or read. You got to have some kind of like, some kind of discernment or some kind of a scale to, to keep this stuff in check, right? But again, like it's really not that much different than anything else you would watch. I guess a little more on the discernment side. Like the females in most anime, they are very sexualized. I'm just gonna be real with you. That's just the truth. They wear skimpy outfits. Sometimes they just have their woman they're naked, right? Half the time they're either partially naked or they're fully naked. I'm just gonna be real with you. It's just the truth. And like they put like women in very provocative, promiscuous, positions and spots. And like the people in Japan or the people in America that makes this stuff, like they seem to be like extraordinarily horny. Like, I mean, like I'm not against like looking at an attractive person. Like you have a man who's like massive muscles and like really good looking. You have like women looking like women who are really good looking too. In all the ways they'd be good looking, but there is like some kind of a line. Anime, it feels like it's just way too horny. And it's like, I mean, I don't mind like a scene or two every once in a while with like some little spicy stuff in it, but it's way too much sometimes. And like some of the times, it's like you don't even know if how old some of these women are, which is very, very morally gray. Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of stuff you can't control either, but like it gets off the rails. But all that kind of stuff exists within like all the content you can watch at the same time. But I mean, there are some stuff to watch out for. I mean, again, to be real with somebody, there's also just a lot of good that can come from it too. Like it teaches a lot about it teaches a lot about like trying to build oneself up. You have lots of friends who try to interact with each other. It's usually, to be honest, a lot of anime is just about having fun. And I know that we live in a very anti-fun society, but like it's just like a lot of times they just have fun. They go on these wild adventures, and they have a lot of fun, and they experience a lot of stuff. Oh yeah, like another example, like you got like Avatar: The Last Airbender. Now maybe it's not technically an anime; it's like a cartoon or something. It's basically an anime though. I mean, for all intents and purposes, it's an anime. I mean, you can try to label in a different group, but yeah, like, and there's just there is a lot of value that can come from it, and I feel like as long as you can keep your crap together, I feel like it's fine to watch. You might have to be a little bit selective. Again, like there's some very dark anime out there, and there just isn't that much Christian references. But I mean, you can find Christian themes and references in really almost anything out there if you're willing to look for it. It's not an impossible thing. Like sometimes there's going to be certain there's little crosses that might show up in places. A lot of times when they go to like a church, it's like a neutral church. Yeah, it's not necessarily Christianity directly, but it's probably highly inspired from the Christian faith. Like, like One Piece has like nuns and has like, like priests and stuff. And they're like, a lot of these animes, like, they'll basically mention God, but they just, it's stuff. Some of the stuff, it gets a little bit shady. Like, but it's, like it is a lot of fun at the end of the day. And there are a lot of moral themes that you can find that exist within anime. There's a lot of good, and there's also a lot of evil. A lot of anime, there's the heroes and the villains. The heroes tend to be very good, and the villains tend to be very evil. And there's a lot you can learn from it. And like, again, like it does show a lot of the heroes will back up other heroes, even if they don't necessarily like each other. At the end of the day, a lot of these people, they do deeply, they have like this deep bonds, and they have deep love for each other, even though they might not always like each other, or they might have deep, rivalries and problems within different groups. They're part of the same clan. Like, like in Naruto, for example, you have like these are gonna be pretty light spoilers, but just a couple of minor things. I think her name is called Ino, and you have like Sakura. They both basically grew up together as friends, and they basically kind of just despise each other. And they have these back and forths. But it's like, neither of them want the other one to die. So like, they're going to back each other up, and they're going to defend each other. And like, maybe they kind of love each other. Like, females tend to have, personal, emotional issues with other women. It's like, it's just kind of the way it is. But like, Sakura and Ino, they would fight for each other, and they would die to protect the other person. They have a love. And like, even like like Naruto is just a great example, but I'm sure there's plenty of other examples out there. Usually people who are part of the same clan, or the same kingdom, or the same friend, or the same little world, or even family members, especially if they're a hero, or they're deemed in like the hero team, they'll probably fight for each other. And like, it's just the way it is, right? And like, most of the villains, like, I think that's one strong quality that defines, heroes versus villains. Heroes, defend each other and, protect those people. Heroes protect people around them. Villains are very self-oriented. A villain doesn't care about other people. A villain only really cares about themselves. So like, if you're a villain and you're around another villain and you're falling or you're failing behind, a villain will just leave you there. They'll just abandon you. And they might even just try to kick you down. They might take their weapon and they'll slam it through you. They might kill another villain, punish other villains. They'll leave you there, torture you, humiliate you, let you get sold off. They don't care at all about you. All they care about is themselves. Most villains only care about power. They only care about themselves. Their own lifestyle. Everything's all about them. Usually to an extreme level, and usually they hate other people around them, and they hate everyone else. So it's like, again, like, villains are very hateful, and like, the heroes tend to be very loving. Or like, the heroes have some kind of honor, or they have some kind of a code. And villains, all they care about is themselves and power. Usually massive amounts of power. To be honest, at the expense of other people more often than not. So, and, also like, heroes try to redeem villains. They try to redeem everybody else in the world that they can. And like, villains believe that the world is just kind of screwed. It just it's like, I don't care. All I care about is myself. More often than not. But yeah, I would say that like, anime is a pretty cool thing. So I mean, I'm not going too deep in the depth. I'll probably end this here soon. I don't want to make this too long, but yeah, I do feel like, anime can be fun to watch. It's pretty neutral. You gotta have a little bit of some discernment, but I feel like it's fine to watch. Just pick some of your titles. pick a title you actually want to watch. Say you wanted to watch Naruto, for example. I mean, that's just one of my animes I like a lot. Just go out on YouTube or go out on like some service or something, and just look at a review or watch a couple small videos on it. Dig a little bit of some research into it, especially if you want to watch an anime that has like 500 episodes or something, or like 150 episodes. I mean, you can spend hours on end. You're better off, if you really want to watch an anime, just do some digging of some research on it. It's like, spending an hour doing some basic research on an anime, if you're going to spend 190 hours on it, you'd be better off putting some effort in ahead of time. Or if you find like a few different anime you want to watch, just go type in like a review on it, like like a review on Naruto, or whatever you want to, like whatever your prerogatives are to find. There are some and like, even if you do find some bad stuff in that anime, or like the manga book, manga books are basically just like the book version, and like the animes are just the video version. But even if you find some bad stuff in it, I would say, and that doesn't necessarily 100% disqualify it, but just know what you're getting into, right? And like you can find a lot of good stuff out there too. So okay, so I guess in the comment section below, let me know what your thoughts are, and like what do you like what are some of your favorite anime, and why is it your favorite anime, and is there any Christian themes in your favorite anime? And like what are some potential red flags for like an anime you want to watch, or just what are some of your thoughts in general? Let me know down below. I appreciate watching. All right, thank you. God is good.